Hi, I'm Kevin Ahronson from Hampshire School of Photography, and in this video I want to talk about focal lengths. Back in the 70s and during the 80s I used this camera a lot. This is an Olympus OM1 and it was a classic in its time and still in my mind one of the most beautiful cameras ever produced. It came standard with what was known as a standard 50mm lens, and when I say to someone who's new to photography what sort of focal length is your lens, many of them glaze over their eyes because they don't really know. So 50mm, in this case it's roughly 50mm from the front of the lens, is that focusing, to roughly where the film is, where it focuses. And obviously in a digital camera it will be from the lens to where the sensor is. Now, strictly speaking, that's not that accurate an answer. It's slightly more complicated than that, but this will do for this video. So, why a 50 and why call it a standard lens? Looking through a 50mm lens is a bit like looking through human eyes in that roughly it sees the same as our eyes see, about 40-45 degrees, something like that. I know we've got peripheral vision on the outside, but when you take a picture with this, it's kind of seeing the same field of view that we see normally. Now, you can get lenses which are other different focal lengths. So for instance, this is a 50, you could get one with a shorter focal length, maybe 35. And when you go to 35, that angle of view you have with a 50 starts to get a bit wider. And if you maybe went down to 25, 24, around about there, it will get wider still, and you can get wider and wider. And the wider it is, the more you can get in the shot. So as a landscape photographer, I'd want a wide angle lens to get maybe the whole mountain in the shot, if that makes sense. It's the standard 50mm lens by which all other lenses are made. So any lens which has a focal length less than 50 is called a wide angle. What if you go the other way? What if you go longer than 50? Any lens which is longer than 50, so 100, 200, 300, they're telephoto lenses. They magnify, great for wildlife. Medium range telephotos are good for portrait photography. I've got a honking great lens here. This is a 200mm. It's a very specialised lens with a very big piece of glass on the front, lets in loads of light and has special qualities. But this is a telephoto. It's fixed at 200mm. I can't change that at all. It is a standard fixed, what they call a prime lens. It doesn't move. And I'm saying that because what I have discovered is that lots of people seem to mix up telephoto lenses with zoom lenses, and they're not the same. Because a zoom lens is any lens where you can change the focal length. So as you turn the lens, it changes from one focal length to another. And it could be, it starts off as a wide angle lens, and as you turn that zoom wheel on the front of your lens, it goes right the way through to become a telephoto. You could have a zoom lens which starts as a medium telephoto and ends up as a big telephoto, or another one which starts super wide and ends up less wide. They're kind of helpful so you can stand in one position and change the framing as you zoom in and out. Typically for a headshot, the most popular range is around about 85mm. 85mm lens with a very wide aperture will give you a lovely facial shot and nicely blurred out background. Once you go beyond about 300, 400, then you're buying lenses which are suitable for wildlife and for sports photography, but they're very expensive, it can be. Gonna hope that's helped a little bit. If you've got any questions, please post them underneath here or drop me a message, an email or something, and if I can answer them, I will do. Thank you very much for listening.